picking his nose.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all? Ben, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I like you starting the show off, man. Yeah, we should do a rotation.
I just saw Jeremiah there, so I said I'm gonna just jump in.
I'm good, man.
Morning, everybody, man. I thought Mondale before Mondale jumped on. When he jumped on, he started cussing out me and Ben for no reason. Like, everything all right over there, Mondale? We need to have an intervention or something.
I think he must have ran into another white woman at the gym like you did yesterday, bro.
Hey, my dog can't.
Nah, you know what happened? I'm gonna tell you what happened, Marcus.
What happened?
I'm gonna tell you about sharing family business after we get off the air.
Bro, wait a minute. Marcus was ready to take us out yesterday when we started the show like 2 seconds before he got in. Like, you remember we started the show a little bit early, not early, but we were waiting on Marcus yesterday. And I was like, hey, let's go ahead and start. And as soon as I hit the live button, Marcus came in. But Marcus, you didn't like that, bro.
No, let me tell you why I didn't like it. Because Ben Dixon and Mondale Robinson, if you notice something, I really don't miss Clickbaity. Because y'all are busy men and y'all have other things to do. So for you Negroes to have the gall and the gumption, the one time that I'm really late to start without me, when I always wait for you Negroes.
Oh man.
Okay.
So first of all,
I had beef yesterday.
So first of all, the problem is when we're gonna be 20 or 30 minutes late, we said the show should go on like without us. You, on the other hand, like,
I'm polite and nice.
He be like, I am clickbaity. You don't start this.
And Marcus forget during the summer months when he was on vacation, he'd be like, hey, let's not do the show today.
Was I really like that? Did I do that?
Fam.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm being
I ain't gonna tell the people you took off to go to the beach. I ain't gonna tell the people you took off to go fishing and to the beach and rent a space on the water in Charleston. I ain't telling people you were living lit up. Just doing
COVID. Now, wait, what's up with this family business again?
I'm just trying to hint to it, let you know. Like, y'all don't know. Marcus spent the COVID summer globe trotting, like locally. Marcus went every place you can go this summer on vacation.
That you can socially distance at.
Oh, you were properly socially distancing?
Hell yeah.
Keep you safe?
He was.
Man, I had some folks at a business deal I'm working on, and the guy was like, well, yeah, man, great. I'm glad it's going to work out. When I come to town, maybe we can sit down for some coffee. I'm like, huh? Where? Mm-hmm. You must be talking about next year.
Virtual coffee.
We're going to do some virtual. Yep. We're going to do a Zoom coffee meeting. That's what we're going to do. But I ain't meeting up with nobody. But y'all are braving the elements. Y'all are out there doing the thing, keeping it going, hitting the streets. And I know you got to do what you got to do, because we got work to be done. Mondale, you were down in Atlanta getting people. What was it? Getting people out to vote, organizing for Black Male Voter Project. What were you doing this weekend in Atlanta?
My people, actually, I have a whole team of people in Atlanta that are canvassing. We created, and people need to know this, because people think we just a voter registration organization. We don't do voter registration at all. We actually created the world's first interactive literature, brother. So we can still canvas during COVID and not get people sick. So basically what our motto is, it looks like lit drop initially because you just knock on the door and leave the literature and walk away. But when the voter comes to the door, when you say, hey, scan the QR code, like you go to these restaurants, you scan the code, the menu pop up. For us, scan the code, a video of me telling you what's on the ballot, not who's on the ballot, what's on the ballot.
Nice.
And also it gives you the option to create a voter plan. So we created the first voter interactive literature in this fucking world. So shout out to Black Male Voter Project for that. So we're using those to still canvas brothers, because we know there's some of us, people believe that you can reach everybody on social media, or you can reach everybody on cable TV, or you can reach everybody on the cell phones, and not knowing some of us don't have cell phone until we get the free Wi-Fi.
I ain't laughing at us. I'm laughing with us, because I've lived that life plenty of times, bro.
That Google number. That
Google
bro.
number,
bro.
Yeah,
my Google number, man. Hey, I'm gonna park outside. I'm gonna park outside the library for about an hour.
Man,
Real.
look. I had posted up outside of what's that? What's that place where you Panera Bread? You know how many times I've had to post up outside of Panera Bread to get an assignment done and to get something uploaded. Man, it was a good time of my life, a good period of time in my life. I couldn't afford no Wi-Fi, man. Couldn't have no internet at home. Who was rich like that back about 10 years ago? I couldn't afford that
Right.
thing,
I'm
man.
trying to tell people like when I tell you black men are struggling, people think it's again. I got this cat who don't have a phone. He got an email address that he just created the other week, and he only called me when he go to like the FedEx store, act like he's shipping something. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you know he want to work, and it's just like that's how much he want to work though.
Yeah,
So
Right.
I remember being in I was homeless in DC for a minute. Like it was only 2 months, but I didn't have a place to stay. So I used to kick it in Busboys and Poets all day long. Why? I mean, literally from breakfast to dinner, I'd be in Busboys and Poets on U Street and 14th, right? That one right there, all day long. And people used to be like, "Dog, you must be balling, man! Like you use this place like a shared workspace, nigga, because it is, and it's free Wi-Fi. All I got to do is order coffee, and I can use the internet all day long."
Bro, I drank so much coffee back in 2000. That was the first year I got married. First year I got married, like things were tight, right? We ain't had no internet at home. But matter of fact, the first year we got married, I used to borrow my neighbor's Wi-Fi on my iPad, and I borrowed their Wi-Fi. By borrow, I mean stole their Wi-Fi because it wasn't locked. I borrowed it for so long, they eventually changed their put on a password and said, "Get your own damn Wi-Fi." That was because of me. But I used to have to go to Starbucks every day, and people are like, "Well, you spending wasting money going to Starbucks, bro." I could spend $3 on a coffee, on a big venti coffee that would last me all day. I drank so much of that caffeine, bro. I ended up getting heart palpitations from all the caffeine. That's how much I used to have to go to these places and use their services. The thing about it though is, I know we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about, but this is real in the Black community. One of the last things my dad worked on before he passed away was the digital divide, and he was partnering with people down in South Florida to bring internet to hotspots. Basically, like they established our church as a location where they put up they had old computers. They're all old computers, but they were connected to the internet. And people had to come there because in the Black community, there was just a desert, an internet desert, and people did not have access to it. And the thing about it was that was about 20 years ago. And we still got a lot of communities that don't have access to the internet or can't afford. They have access, but they can't afford. Same thing like healthcare. You got access to healthcare, but if you can't afford it, it don't mean nothing.
But we still have, but beyond that, Ben, we still have communities, black people in rural Georgia, rural North Carolina, rural South Carolina, probably rural parts of this whole world. I mean, this whole country don't have access. Like they got that Hughes net, which is the satellite internet, which is trash. It don't move. You know what I'm saying? It's worse than digital dial-up. And here's the thing: supposedly we created the internet, this country.
Right.
How is it that South Korea? Everybody in South Korea has access to internet. It's free all over the country.
Really?
I think like 90% of South Korea has access to internet.
Same reason we don't have healthcare. It's because where they can't get profits. They still make profits overseas. I don't want to spread that lie. They're still profit making in other countries, but where they can't exploit and get obscene profits overseas, they come to America to get it. So America is the last bastion, one of the last bastions of perverted profit making at the expense of common use things like the internet, right? Let's really think about it. Like, think about how much y'all paying for the internet right now. I mean, if all you got is internet, you could still be paying $50, $60, $70, $100 a month, depending on where you live, just for a good internet connection. Don't add on top of that cable or a telephone, because then you're going to be dropping some real coins every single month on that joint.
I mean, I'm waiting for y'all to insert the old dirty ass joke about my internet, but fuck both of y'all. So real quick though, Ben, I believe I work with your father on that, because I did that same project around 15 years ago. I went to Houston and in Jacksonville and in a couple other cities like in black areas.
Yeah.
And I would literally go in with a computer and go around a certain area of a black neighborhood to see if there's any Wi-Fi signals. And Man, I'm gonna tell you, just like 15 years ago, you go to certain areas and you have one signal for a whole 3-block radius, right?
Wow.
In the Black community, like one signal. And it's like, you know, and if that person don't have, you know, I remember, and the people who had the signals, they would call their internet like police. You know what I mean?
to keep people from bro, I ain't gonna lie, like I am paranoid as anything, man, because like I got Xfinity, and so Xfinity got hotspots anywhere, right? You can go anywhere and get basically a hotspot, but if that thing don't look precisely like Xfinity typed out, like I be thinking people try to get me, so I don't like logging in on public Wi-Fi anyway, because I just be thinking like I'm paranoid like that. I'm thinking somebody gonna get me, hack my computer. I'm on their network, they get access to everything I got, and next thing you know, they exposing my emails like they did Hunter Biden. So I be trying to I'll just connect to my cell phone before I connect to somebody's Wi-Fi, especially if it says the police. We can't do that. Yeah, Mandel, you all right down there, man?
Sorry, I thought I muted you. I apologize. So you're around here, right? You didn't name the name of his Wi-Fi, FBI.
Yeah.
No, that's what they name it on me to make sure I didn't steal it all those years. I couldn't afford it. But
here's my thing: if you leave your Wi-Fi open, if you leave your Wi-Fi open, then you're asking people to use your Wi-Fi. Exactly. Because you should have a password on it. If it's open, it's open. Period.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous to me.
Somebody said, "Is this beanie day?" I was running in a beanie this morning. Where my beanie at so I can match y'all niggas? But go ahead, Marcus.
Nah,
what
man,
else you
funny.
got, man?
It's hilarious. Like now that I live in a more gentrifying area, I had to sort of like upgrade my the name of my internet to the things that gentrifying white people would use, like Mr. Robot. Yeah, come and use my shit. I'm gonna hack into your shit.
My shit is called Angry Black Man.
There you go.
I swear.
That'll keep them off your Wi-Fi for real.
Angry Black Man.
You can leave that one unlocked and keep that one if people gonna be afraid to jump in there.
Hey, I want to get started with something that's political and slash something that's in one of the areas that I like, and that's video games. I'm a gamer. If y'all don't know that, I at one point in my life I was actually a ranked Madden player. Top 100 in the country. I lost that. Y'all can beat me easy now, but a couple years ago I was pretty good. But I still participate in gaming. Right. I was part of the New Georgia Project last year. We had a game jam last year where we developed a game. Shout out to NC UFA. We developed they are developing a game that promotes voter turnout, voter registration, and something interesting happened. PlayStation put out a skin for their sort of holding area. So when you log into a PlayStation, it doesn't immediately take you to a game. It takes you to an area where you can choose what game you play. And the background they have themes and a skin, right? And the theme, it could be anything you want. Like mine for years was Madden, and then I had Red Dead Redemption just because you could kill the KKK on it, right? Like those are I buy games so I can kill fascists and racists. Right, that's what I do now. Right, so if you catch me playing a game, I'm actively looking for the Ku Klux Klan. And anyway, so PlayStation, being a part of seeing what's happening around the world and around America, decided to release a Black Lives Matter skin on their PlayStation for the PlayStation skin currently. And because they did that, you have gamers now, white gamers and fascist gamers and racist gamers across the world saying that they are not going to purchase the PS5. So and it's a big deal. They're like cancel PlayStation 5 or whatever their hashtag that they're using just because they have a Black Lives Matter skin. And the only thing that I care about in this situation is go ahead and cancel your fucking order so I can get my PlayStation 5 faster because I can't figure out where to buy the thing from and pre-order it. That's right. That's right. So go ahead. If your dumb ass doesn't want to get a PlayStation 5 because PlayStation just said Black Lives Matter. And why they get so triggered off of just seeing the words Black Lives Matter? Like what makes people like that? I saw one white guy say, well, I drive 20 miles outside of my way, so I won't have to ride over the Black Lives Matter sign. You dummy.
Good.
Oh, wow. Wow. I'm gonna go ahead, Mando.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I hope these are the same white people that canceled Nike when Nike stock went up.
Right.
Idiots. For supporting Colin Kaepernick.
I hope they sold their stock and then missed that boom. I'm looking at the skin now, and the skin is actually kind of dope.
The skin is
Pretty
super
dope. I like the little yellow fish
Yeah.
at the bottom.
Yeah, no, that
That's
is
pretty
fire. Xbox sent out a tweet in solidarity with them. The funny thing about that,
that's big because
Yeah.
they hate each other.
right. So that's love. So two directions we can go with that conversation. One, talking about gaming. AOC was gaming last night as a kind of like get out the vote situation. And then in terms of black, there was another story that the voters in Tennessee that were turned away from the polls because they were wearing Black Lives Matter shirts. So I just want to put that out there so I don't forget because I'm getting old. But going back to your PlayStation thing is the reason is, man, it's because they just can't. They honestly, it's like the Wicked Witch of the West. You throw water on it, and they really act like when they hear somebody say Black Lives Matter, like their whole world is coming down around them, and that's because they have a vested interest in not caring about Black lives. So of course they're gonna trip about this, but I mean, ain't nobody gonna miss this fascist money, man. There's enough other people in the world. I think we're at a stage in history where we outnumber them. They're louder, they're organized. They could organize Proud Boy rallies. They can go out there to beat the shit out of people and then get their two front teeth knocked out. They could organize in that respect, but I think that there's more of us in general. So I don't think PlayStation gonna miss their money because I don't even play video games like that. But I might just line up to buy a PlayStation 5 too and donate it to somebody just cause. That's why the hell not? If it's making fascists angry, I could stand with them.
Oh, well, then you could just save me a couple of bucks and go ahead. My shit. How about that?
Bro, you see, you be wearing these $800 sweat. Nah, I don't know if it's $800.
See that? Now, I don't go counting your coins. Don't go counting mine, buddy.
I'm just saying. I just recognize the name brand fashions that you be wearing on this air.
Hey, we gotta check the super chats real quick.
We got super chats already. All right, let me jump into super chats. Let's see what's going on.
And let me get back to AOC.
Okay, so the first super chat that I see in the morning is from K-Love. Thank you, K-Love, for that super chat. And she said, I'm upset how our people aren't engaged this morning. My cousin told me that she didn't want to vote and Biden doesn't move her. I told her that Trump has to go vote blue. She lives in Georgia, especially because Georgia is actually quiet as it's kept, or it's not even as quiet secret anymore. Georgia's in play. Georgia really is in play. So
listen. Tell that. Let me. What's that person name?
K-Love, and she's talking about she's upset that her cousin isn't engaged to vote in Georgia.
And I wish we could ask her if her cousin was a black man. But like, what you can't do is, K-Love, is if you're talking to your cousin, you can't tell your cousin. You can't use the language you just use. It's ineffective to tell people who is on the ballot. Personalities and also national parties don't move people. So you're wasting your time trying to make your cousin know how important Joe Biden is to their daily lived experience, especially if it's a black man. You are wasting your time. That is not going to work. What you can do is you can tell your cousin who's probably living in some aspect of life with their backs against the wall, meaning they're missing some of their basic needs. You can tell them that Biden voting this election cycle is a tool to addressing some of the things that plague in their lives. But you can't do to black men or people in general, really, who are living with their backs on the wall, is tell them that they have to vote or they have to do something because their life depends on it. Because these people make decisions every day that their life depends on.
Real decisions.
Yeah.
And voting is not historically to change that situation. So that is a failed tactic that white folk tell you on a regular basis, but it does not work. And believe me, I know, because if you consider the black men who don't vote regularly with those who aren't registered, majority of black men have never voted in a single election.
Hey, fellas, I'm going to read the rest of these super chats, but is the Mundell, the noise that I'm hearing in your background, is that my kids?
Those your kids.
That's my kids. No, I mean, I hear the echo in your background. I didn't realize they were that loud until I heard the echo in your background.
Them your babies.
Hey, y'all didn't tone it down over there. We try to work over here. Let me get to the next super chat. Gail Hafner says, good Wednesday morning, gentlemen. You are my mornings now. Thank you for this. Our pleasure. Definitely glad to do that.
Turn up.
Game How on YouTube said, should the left trust Ryan Knight and People's Party? Do you guys know who Ryan Knight is?
Yeah, he's the proud socialist, right?
Right. I mean, I know who he is. I just want to make sure you guys do.
Yeah. So I mean, I like that guy only because his story is his story intrigues me. Right. He went from a super neoliberal to You know, the proud socialist guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's my thing. I'm being very careful but I have to speak as a black man right now. There's some parts about being a black male and black people that we can't go pure purity.
Mm-hmm.
We can't, because we won't, like, we already don't have much politically behind us. So, and don't get me wrong, yes, I would love to be in the euphoric aspect of purity politics, where if you don't do every single thing according to standard, then you are then you need to be canceled, right? But and I say this because I'm thinking about Stacey Abrams, right? I worked for Stacey Abrams before I knew she was a moderate. But even if I knew she was a moderate, I still would have worked for Stacey Abrams. You know why? Because the alternative to Stacey Abrams in that election was a person that was trying to get rid of every black voter in the state of Georgia. Right? So if I allowed purity politics to get in my way, then guess what? Brian Kemp would have went unchecked. He still stole the election from Stacey Abrams, right? So no matter how moderate he is, like no matter how moderate she is, she was in the fight to actually allow black folks to vote. I'm gonna give y'all another example. Since everybody wants to push purity politics, everybody loves Bernie Sanders. But when it came down to black issues, nobody was purity politics with him then, except Black Lives Matter, except people pushing him. And a lot of folks who push purity politics got mad because he literally wasn't doing enough. And people were like, at the time, well, why are y'all mad at Bernie Sanders? Class first, this, that, and the other. You know, we need to focus on class. He is talking about racial issues. No, he wasn't at the time. No, he was not. So as far as I'm concerned, like, there's certain things that we can't afford because nobody's purity politics. Well, honestly, not many people who are purity politics stay pure when it comes down to Black American issues. And you are just learning how to become purity politics.
That's right.
With Black American issues. But so far, if it wasn't like there was for years, it was Medicare for all Black people, reparations. Mm-hmm. College for all Black people, reparations. You know, guaranteed living wage, reparations, and our voice was being ignored then, but we were getting yelled at and yelled down because we wouldn't go by purity politics.
Right. No, I feel that, and I appreciate you putting that in context of Ryan. I like Ryan. Me and Ryan connected during the primaries. I like his arc, and not only Ryan but Peter Dow, who was super
I used to hate that guy.
Bro, me and Peter were like, you know, we almost came to blows because he was going after one of our homegirls that we all know in common. And back in 2016, but he's made a pretty good arc. And I think that their transition to being anti-establishment, I think it was pretty genuine. So I ain't got nothing bad to say about them. Let me read the next two super chats. One of them is why I was laughing so hard while you were talking, Marcus, because I saw one. Torches and Pitchfork says, "Good morning, gentlemen." He sent over our daily reparations. We appreciate that, Torches and Pitchforks. And then we have a super chat from Marcus Farrell, who says, "Mute Mondale in this show."
All the people that don't know, that little gorgeous purple, green, red, and yellow logo in the corner is actually Black Male Voters Project logo. Marcus is trying to cancel me on my own damn platform.
Oh, wait a minute. We're just using the platform.
So light skinned.
Hey, does he have control this time, Benjamin?
Nope.
I got
control.
Ben. Don't you
except for
give me control. I want control. Let me get control.
That's a prime example of what's wrong with power right there. Did you see that? Give me control. I want control.
We gonna get this.
You sound like a Disney villain right there. Give me control. I want control. Put a beat to that. Give me control. I want control.
Hey, somebody, my homeboy from high school put a beat to the boy who lost his teeth. So I'm gonna try to get that link in there. I'm gonna try to get it and download it. One more super chat before we move on, and this one's from Reverend Donna Gilbert. And Donna, if how would you two fellas, how would you pronounce this? Pouliot.
Pouliot. Hold on.
Pouliot. Pouliot.
Pouliot.
on YouTube. Give me the phonetic spelling of that, Donna, because I hate ruining people's names, and I'm not good with
France?
Poulois.
Or Louisiana.
Yeah, probably Louisiana.
Haiti.
Or Haiti, right.
She said, I do appreciate how you keep it real, talking about this morning show. We appreciate you supporting us. Adrian Levixen Noir says, this is a lovely way to woke and toke, my comrades.
Woman after my own heart.
Woke and toke, wake and bake. We appreciate it all on this show. All right, those are all of the super chats so far. Mondale, you were about to talk about, go ahead.
Holy out. And it's a famous name. It's a common name in Canada.
Oh, really?
No, another French colonized area.
Place we didn't think about, right? Another place stolen for native folk,
right?
For white folk, for the benefit of white folk.
What place has not been stolen from the natives? What nation? What nation of brown
Ethiopia.
people? Really?
Yeah, they were never colonized. What happened though was
Haile Selassie came through for them.
I mean, the Italians were there for a while, which is part of the explanation for some of the shit that happens. But Ethiopia was never colonized.
Dope. Mondale, put that light more in front of you if possible, because the left side of you is lit. The front side of you is not. Just want to make sure all the people can see all the people can see you. So
like
that when
being
they
in the
sign
shadows, Ben.
when they sign up for your OnlyFans, we can have more support.
Stop with the program.
All right.
First of all, I would help people know that I do not have an OnlyFans. I am not upset that people that do have OnlyFans. I, however, am in a.
Hey, yes, he does. He got an OnlyFans called Black Santa Daddy.
You know it's out there because it's the internet. So somebody got a page called Black Santa, and you know that you just got him a whole lot of viewers. Stop! I don't have an OnlyFans page.
Hey. Anyway, there's so many ways we could go with that one. I'm gonna leave that one alone, man. Mondale, you were about to talk about AOC. Were you going to talk about her in the gaming last night?
I wasn't going to talk about the game culture. I appreciate how people are getting creative with games. I think one of the games, either the basketball game or an NBA 2K or something like that, or the football game. One of them, I think, like letting people run political ads on the game or something. Like, so when you're playing basketball, you might get a political ad or something. I don't know how games work. Okay. I am not a gamer. Yeah, so I haven't played games since the Nintendo 64 was a thing.
Oh wow.
So that was the last time I was into games. I think if I hold a controller right now, I would be so lost. I do. Well, to be honest, I do play games on my phone. I play New York crosswords, but I thought it was like a $4.99 charge, and then I got my recurring bill. It's like, I don't know, $50 a month. I mean, a year. I'm like, wait a minute, New York. But them crosswords addicting though, bro. So, and you don't just get the long ones, you also get the mini ones. So I could do the mini ones in like 48 seconds.
Look at the joy. Look at the joy in this Negro face. Look at the joy. He's shining over the game. I'm happy that you like a game, Mondale. No,
it's crosswords, but it's a game. So, but what I was going to talk about was I wanted to go back to that Tennessee topic. So let's go ahead and talk about the game. Talk about your last game.
I was saying the last game I played, because since we talk about games, the last games I was seriously into, like every day for hours, was Halo 3. That was back around 2008, right around the time of the election with Barack Obama. I was legendary on that game, but it's like, I don't know, some point, I don't know if I just couldn't afford to keep paying that monthly subscription or what, but at some point it just stopped. So right now, all I do is Tetris and Words with Friends. And the funny thing about it is you end up spending a lot of money on these cell phone games, man. I had this one dude who told me he worked for one of these companies that had a gamer. And I think it was one of these games where you build your own empire and you go to war with other people, and it's right on the cell phone. He said they had one person with a reoccurring account that ended up spending $100,000 in a year period on a video game. Now, first of all, how much money you make in a year to be able to blow that kind of money? So he's probably
wait. How do you spend money on a video game? What do you mean?
Oh well, so I'll explain it. They're add-ons, right? They're add-ons in games. So, for instance, if you have a game with a sword and you swing that sword one time at somebody, right, and that sword only takes half the power from the person you're trying to kill. You can buy another sword for 50 cents that you can swing one time and kill that person. And it makes the game a little bit easier, or a skin, right? So one day, Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap will have a video game, and our normal skins will be Mondale, Marcus, and Benjamin, but our powered up skin will be Hoodie Marcus, Hoodie
There you go.
and Beanie Mondale, right? And then they will be able to run through fascists and neoliberals faster than anything possible. Y'all with my game? Go ahead. Like that super chat. Y'all want to see that drop that Patreon.
Wait, so people are actually upgrading what they're using in games?
Yeah,
bro.
Absolutely. They upgrade what they use in games. Listen, Shaquille O'Neal spends $1 million a year on phone games.
No, bro, get the hell out of here.
He said it himself.
Oh
and
my
he
God.
has no problem with it, right? The thing about it is you have to be very careful, because, and I want you parents with children to know this. Games like Fortnite and Halo, if your children ask you for money for it, not Halo, Fortnite and all the other new like multiplayer games. If your kids ask you for money for it, they don't need it. And let me tell you why. I'm gonna destroy a lot of kids right here. I have no problem being anti-Santa. Because when you play in video games, you're playing these Fortnites and these Apex Legends and these games like that right there. They don't on these free platforms, they don't make your character any better. It's not any easier. Like you're spending money for skins that do absolutely nothing. So the player because they don't allow advantages in these games, right?
Well, that's good.
Right?
I mean, I appreciate that.
And the reason why your kids are kicking your ass at Fortnite all the time is because they have faster Twitch skills. They are faster. They react faster than you. So people always wonder, how come I'm smarter than my kid? He's so stupid at everything, but he keeps kicking my ass at this video game. The reason why is because your kid has faster Twitch skills than you do, so he can lock onto a target. And that's why all the terrorists want to get children.
Wait, how did you jump the terrorists want to get children?
Saying, hey, listen.
Wait, did you say Fortnite make children terrorists?
No, I didn't say that, Mondale.
That's what it sounded like to me. All right, Mondale, jump in there with your topic. We got a couple more super chats, but I'm gonna read them. We're gonna talk about this next topic, and then I'm gonna circle back to the next super chats. Go ahead, Mondale.
I'm glad you brought up the this is 2020, bro. Like, so Donald Trump. This is undoubtedly the working of Donald Trump. People are like, why you compare everything to Donald Trump? I'm gonna tell you why. Because Donald Trump, to me, is a symbol of white supremacy. He is not the creation of white supremacy. He is not the fulfillment of white supremacy. He's just white supremacy lived out loud. A mediocre white man in the White House who is dumb as shit, i.e., you're white supremacy. Meaning, how can you get to the pinnacle of American government and being as mediocre as Donald Trump is? That's what I mean. So we're in Memphis. This is not regular Tennessee, y'all. This is the most progressive spot in Tennessee, right? Black people going to vote together. They put on their Black Lives Matter shirt to go vote. You cannot wear political shit in a polling location. Everybody knows that. You can't wear a Biden-Harris shirt. You can't wear a MAGA hat. We know that. But these white people, those same ones probably that cancel PS5, like they have the power to cancel PS5, try to tell these voters who are walking in with their Black Lives Matter shirt, which is not a political party, which is not a political statement, which is not a political party, said again, which is not a political statement, said again. It is a critique of American society.
Well,
that is like me saying you can't come in here with your NASCAR shirt on.
Right.
Except for I'm talking about lived experiences and a rough way of it. So anyway, these two people go vote. He tell them, and he just tell them take it off. He said, you will not vote unless you flip it over. So he made these people flip over their shirt, nice black people, because I wouldn't have flipped mine over. But he got fired for it. This is a great irony moment for me, because guess what? Foreshadowing is a real thing in my life, and this is definitely what's going to happen to Trump. He's been telling black people to take off Black Lives Matter since he's been president. And I'm talking about the proverbial Black Lives Matter, not the movement or even the organization. I'm just talking about black lives. And he's going to get fired at the polling location.
Okay. That was your That was your divinity school training right there. All right. That's how
It
you
is.
took that and exegeted that and made it that was a word right there, man. I love and I hate simultaneously the fact that they look at this and see it automatically as a political statement. Here's why I love it. I love it because they recognize that us having to assert that Black Lives Matter is inherently a threat to this political system, right? So they feel that pain because it's true, right? Black Lives Mattering in this country is not just about Black people, it's about marginalized groups, it's about the injustices that we continue to fight in this country on an everyday basis. That's why a white person can be out there shouting Black Lives Matter. And so, of course, Donald Trump supporters are going to see that and see it as a political statement and as a threat, even though it's not inherently, right? I agree with you 100%. It's not inherently a political statement, but it becomes a political statement because the political power structure in this country has created a system that is systematically oppressive to Black lives and marginalized communities. The reason I hate the fact that they see it as a political statement is the fact that we can't simply be out there and assert our value as human beings without them seeing it as a political threat to them, which makes them come down and organize equally as hard on the opposite side of the equation. So we have an entire anti-Black Lives Matter movement in reaction to us trying to assert our dignity, our rights to not be oppressed, to not be killed by the police. So it's a both and to me. Like, I hate it because it grows this reaction that we see so much. Like, just saying that Black Lives Matter makes them arm up, makes them get their guns, makes them go out to Kenosha, makes them shoot people, make them run people down in Charlottesville, right? But then also it's clear. It's clear to everybody that simply asserting our dignity as Black people is a threat to this system.
Man, if I may, I want to add on to what Mondale said, and just a different city. I don't know if you guys saw it, but in Miami, Florida, the white cop had on the Trump face mask in the polling location. All right. If that's not a voter intimidation tactic, I don't know what else is. But dare I say it, to Benjamin's point and to Mondale's point, you gentlemen hit the nail on the head. I just want to add on something, and I'm going to take a different angle on it. Black people are naturally the most progressive human beings in America. Point blank.
That's
no
right.
matter if
Even slavery was our idea. Shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Black people are literally naturally more. Even if we listen to Jim Clyburn, we're still more progressive than your ass. And I hate to be like that, but the reason why is because every affliction that America has against progressives that progressives are fighting for has automatically hurt Black people, Black and indigenous people, more than any other community. So we automatically have to fight against these things, even if sometimes we fight the wrong way. Black people are naturally more progressive. We're just not going to go and, as Mondale said yesterday, we're not going to go and make a new relationship with you because we have no idea who you are. If you come to our neighborhoods at the 12th hour in October saying, "Hey, could we have your vote?" Right? We're not going to do that. But when you talk about minimum wage, right? When you talk about raising the living wage, when you talk about free college for all, when you talk about healthcare, every single stat that we're fighting against, every single one of them. When we talk about the Black community in general, we are hurting the most of the things that we are pushing the most. So we're willing to fight for it, right? So dare I say that voter intimidation and the things that the progressive universe has been fighting for the past, and I say it elevated in the past 6 to 7 years, right? Everything that we're fighting for, Black people are 1,000 times more likely to believe in how we can change those things, right? But we need a Messiah or a Mecca or a person that actually will be willing to communicate these things on a consistent basis outside of an election year and not forced to do it, but organically wants to do these things. I bring this up because we talk about progressive values, at least to my topic today, is progressive values and how African Americans and Black Americans and Native Americans and Latinx Americans, they need it more than anyone else, and they're most likely going to fight for it. So November 4th, you tell your progressive God, whoever the next one is going to be, whether that's AOC, whether that's Ayanna Pressley, whether that's some white guy that y'all going to pull out of nowhere, right? You tell that person that he better sit in South Carolina and Atlanta, Georgia for the next 4 years if y'all want to win anything. And preach why progressive values are going to help the Black community and actually make tangible relationships.
and make that connection, man. Like that connection is authentic. Like I was talking on the stream, the late night stream last night, about how I grew up just like everybody else, right? I don't think a lot of people like to admit it, especially some of my friends to the much further left of me. But we all were indoctrinated in this country. We were all indoctrinated by white supremacy, American nationalism, and capitalism. Like just from day one, from the very first thing we watched on TV, to saying the Pledge of Allegiance every single day in school, to having to learn the colonized history of America, right? And to view colonization through a positive lens. Yeah, I believe that. Like everything that we learn about American history speaks of colonization through a positive lens. All right. And so I'm thinking about how indoctrinated I was and propagandized that we all are growing up in the system, but yet and still, my blackness and my experience as a black man and my experience as just a black human on this planet trumped all of that. Like it automatically cut through all of the propaganda. So no matter how much they indoctrinated me, my black experience and connecting to the history of my black experience cut through all of that propaganda and made me the progressive that I am right now, despite all of the propagandization that we suffered through being brought up in the public school systems in this country. So I say that to say, Marcus, you spot on, man. Like it's just in our DNA, because we had to fight for these things, because we are at every category. This is what you said, right? In every category of things that people want, there's a progressive agenda. Black folks need it. We have needed it. We've been fighting for it. We're on the front lines of fighting for it because we have the greatest need, and our shared experience automatically. Like, some people don't triumph over the white supremacy, right? Some people see a financial opportunity in the white supremacy, Candace Owens, right? And people like Thomas. But the majority of us triumph over that propaganda that we all been indoctrinated with because of our black experience. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, I just want to point out, y'all remember that Thanksgiving? You remember that Thanksgiving picture where the one that they showed us in school, where it was the pilgrim and he had the big shotgun with the wide barrel on it, and it was a turkey, and that was a smiling turkey, and it was and it also was like, and then had a Native American guy, and they're all sitting there smiling. That was the education that they gave us.
Yep.
And in reality,
that turkey was shot and cooked
that
and
Native
baked.
American was getting pointed at more than that turkey was.
That's probably why the turkey was smiling.
Not funny.
Listen,
sorry.
Yeah, Marcus, you also forgot the fruit horn in that picture. Yeah, I used to always ask questions about that picture, like that fruit horn with all the grapes coming out of it.
What's it called? The cornucopia. Well, anyway, go ahead.
The Trinity.
But my thing was, I always ask questions like, how is this Thanksgiving? And I mean, like, who was thankful for Thanksgiving? Like, who? I don't remember, like, because I'm a nerd, so I just didn't understand how y'all was trying to tell me that was a picture of Thanksgiving. Yeah. I never understood it, and I always ask questions about it. So, and thank God I was raised in a small town where the teachers that taught my parents too. And while the schools were no longer segregated, the school I went to middle school was the first. It was the all black school when my mom was in school. So
that's the beautiful thing about it, man. It's like
I was protected by teachers.
Exactly. Like you grew up and that was a good thing about me going to an HBCU first. Like I finished up at a PWI, but my first 3 years I was at a HBCU, and and my high school was a predominantly black high school. That presented, if I didn't have any opportunity before that actually presented me with opportunity to learn the history in a different way than American colonized history teaches us, right? And I'm thinking now just about the education of my children, right? The standards, the school standards, the state standards for your children to graduate requires that they learn this white supremacist interpretation of history, right? You cannot get through social studies without talking about the victories of colonization here in the United States and America's wars throughout. Everything is told from the perspective. They even America is so committed to white supremacy that they even valorize British colonization. and they just make one exception for the American Revolution. But everything else is a commitment to white supremacy throughout world history. And just having to teach my kids that, man, it's like, I'm like, I know they have to learn this stuff to actually pass these tests. But at the same time, man, I'm starting them right now, 7, 9, and 2.
Listen to the trick of America's curriculum and propaganda. We know all about European countries from which supposedly this country was formed, right? Mm-hmm. But think about that, though. When majority of the labor of this country, the food, the flavor of this country, I mean, they don't call it Black American food. They call everybody else food their food. They call it Southern food, but it's ours. So think about all the contributions we made to this country, and yet it's still America's not. Americans don't teach about Africa like they teach about Europe. And it's so funny to me that the idea of Africa is like this exotic course that you may take once you get to college in upper level. But European studies are some shit you're taught throughout, as if there were no writers or no science and math or religion teachings from I call it north to south, which is usually liberation shit. If you think about like Paulo Freire, all of that type of religion, that type of religious thinking, that type of education, pedagogy, compared to what you learn from east to west, which is usually some European shit about enslavement and also paying attention to what he or she in power says.
Two things. I want to ask real quick, Marcus. I want to ask the audience to reply on this. How long was it? What age were you, or what grade were you when you learned about the golden age of Islam? I want to know how old you were when you learned about the golden age of Islam. And I want to highlight it with this. There was somebody online who got so mad because they referenced our numbering system as Arabic numerals. And they got so mad talking about the political correctness and Islam, this and da. American indoctrination is so rich that they didn't even realize our entire numbering system came from Islam, came from the Arabic numerals. And that's so indicative of how America and this propagandization, the propaganda that we suffer through, tries to erase completely the contributions of cultures and races and religions that are not white Christian men. Go ahead, Marcus.
I mean, we could always blow their minds and say that the most beautiful buildings in Europe are all basically from the connotation of Black people out of the south of Italy and the Moorish people, right? And the Arabic style of buildings. But I'm not even going to go there. Well, to answer your question, Ben, 5th grade.
Oh, really? That's love, man. That's good.
I went to a white school, but FAMU in Tallahassee literally runs the whole city, right? Right. So when you have an HBCU in your city and you have halfway conscious, even though my mother was fully conscious, I remember Dr. James Eaton. Dr. James Eaton was the African American History Museum on FAMU campus. Like nice. On campus, we had a Black History Museum, right? And it was almost like a daily trip to go to this museum and be 7 years old and see what real slave chains look like, right? Yeah. And to see the accomplishments of Black people. So I went to a majority white private school from throughout basically elementary and middle school. But during the summer times, I was on FAMU campus, and they weren't having that Europeanized, colonized education on FAMU campus, right? If you wanted to get your history, if you wanted to actually have a real decent conversation, first off, you'll get destroyed on the HBCU campus if you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, you'll get your feelings hurt. You dig what I'm saying? That's why I have no problem with kids choosing. And shout out to all the D1 5-star kids who are starting to go to Black colleges. Shout out to y'all. You guys are freaking heroes, because you're gonna go pro anyway. You might as well go pro and do something for your community. But
I love that. Mark, I don't watch the sport ball that much unless LeBron's on TV.
Right.
But I think, bro, that's a powerful statement. When you see these number 1, number 2 pick, both of them saying, nah, you know what, we're just gonna go to HBCU. Because what it's saying is, if y'all gonna make us go to college when we shouldn't have to, because college sports shouldn't be linked to the NBA at all. And then you're doing that simply because you're trying to pay for all your white sports. Did y'all know that? I bet y'all did. That the black sports, usually basketball and football, usually football in college, pays for all the other sports, right?
Oh yeah.
So that means they need black bodies, because these are two sports that are heavily populated by black athletes. They're also the only two sports that they make you go to college for. So think about that. The NBA is a business. So supposedly the NCAA is about bettering college students' experience in the college. But then they're making these kids go to play college ball. And these black students are like, well, fuck your system. We're going to HBCUs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you think
that is a protest that we should not underestimate. That is powerful.
Hey, if you think about it, Zion Williamson paid for the whole women's soccer team at Duke's program. How about that? And they're getting full rides and scholarships. So yeah, let's send these kids to black schools, because especially if they're going to be one and done, to say it best, first off, the NCAA is a racket.
Yep,
it's a racket. And
child labor racket at that.
Yeah, well, child labor until they get 18, but still, it's a racket, right? And they use up our athletes. And then, I mean, if you think about it, Chris Webber got fined. Chris Webber, who won the championship with, he didn't win the championship. He actually called the timeout. But Chris Webber was a part of the fabulous Fab Five in the 90s. And he was a former basketball player, power forward for Michigan University.
I think Duke beat them.
Yeah, Duke beat them, right. Hated that
I think
game.
Duke's in Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. That's in North Carolina.
I think Duke is coached by Coach K.
Yeah, okay, I don't care
about Duke is my team.
All right. Mute him. Mute him now, okay? Get this dude under control. I'm trying to make a damn point, and he's going ham over there over goddamn Duke. Fuck out of here. Anyway, Chris Webber got banned from like a 10-year ban from Michigan because he was getting paid a couple bucks, I believe $100,000 while he was playing college sports. At the same time, while he got banned from his university, the University of Michigan made somewhere around $700,000 off of his jersey.
Yep.
So, and the coach of Michigan at the time in the 90s was getting paid $3 million a year. And there's no telling what the program itself got from all the television appearances and this. That's why the NCAA is, and if you notice something, if you look at the most popular sports, basketball and football, who's out there on the field? Who's out there on the court? It's black folks. It's black athletes. And so it boggles me when Nick Saban and his Alabama team goes and does a protest march across the campus, and all of a sudden people want Nick Saban. Alabama fans want Nick Saban, one of the best college football coaches of all time, to step down because he had a Black Lives Matter march. And he had his black players. So you see the disconnect with that right there?
Right. No, they want you to perform. They want you. They obviously want your talent. They don't want your protest, right? We see that trickle up into the NBA and to the NFL. But shout out to Nick Saban, only because he is a great college football coach, but he certainly was not a good NFL coach. I just had to put that out there on behalf of my Dolphins. That was a tragedy. He left.
Well, first of all, the man was with the Dolphins, bro. Don't blame him. Jesus Christ.
And I'm not even a Dolphin fan like that, but come on, man. Like he was struggling.
Sneak that in. The Dolphins, bro. The last good player the Dolphins had was Jim Curry, Ray Finkel. The kick heard around the world.
Wait, ain't nobody a Dolphin fan. You're not a Dolphin fan, are you, Marcus?
No, I'm not a Dolphin fan, but shout out to them. I mean, they're about to start. They're undefeated this year, I believe, or they're doing pretty well this year. And on top of that, they're about to start Tua, the brother from Hawaii. I don't know what Tua is.
Are they really?
Tua black? Is Tua black? I need to figure that one out. If Tua,
wait, did he go to Alabama?
He went to Alabama, and now he's about to start over Fitzpatrick. I mean, I know this is not a sports show, but I mean, there's about to be another quarterback of color.
Talk about all of it. We talk about everything.
Every single thing, and every single time a quarterback of color succeeds in the NFL, a racist star from the 1980s dies. Right? Let me tell you why. I have to explain this. For years and years and years in American football, the quarterback was considered the intelligent position. Mm-hmm. So some amazing college athletes have been black quarterbacks. And they would get skipped over consistently because black people in the NFL, which we all know now the NFL is racist, right? Can we all agree that the NFL is racist, right? Black quarterbacks up until basically Doug Williams won the Super Bowl were always considered, not smart athletes, right? They can have a cannon. They can make all the right decisions, but they wouldn't even get an opportunity to start in the NFL because of their color. So I look back on quarterbacks, the black quarterbacks in the 80s and 90s and maybe even the 2000s, like Charlie Ward, for instance, Florida State, go Noles. Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy, got looked over by every single NFL team possible. So he ended up playing in the pros. And in the NBA. So what I'm saying right now is, like, the NFL has been racist for a long time, and the most recent case of it is Lamar Jackson, right? Yeah. Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP of the NFL, right? And also Patrick Mahomes, black quarterback from, won the Super Bowl. So they're finally proving these folks that they can play. But when Lamar Jackson came out of college, all of the white pundits said one thing: well, he needs to switch over to wide receiver. He needs to be running back, like the skill positions that don't have anything to do with decision making.
Right. I mean, you see this transcends this transcends sports. What you said, the underlying issue that you're talking about is easily seen in the sports ball, right? But it also transcends all of this. It's in every category, man. It's like the talent that comes from the black community is always regularly dismissed just because of the nature of white supremacy in this country. So I don't care what profession you find yourself in, whether it's the courtroom, the medicine field, politics. I mean,
magazine covers,
everything, man. Photography and magazine covers for all of it.
You know how hard it was for a black woman to get on the cover of Cosmopolitan?
How many years was it? Like it was what year was the first cover?
All I know is that it took at least 40 years, 30 years or something like that. Crazy, right? So, right. I mean, unfortunately, I don't read Cosmopolitan magazine, but all I know is that. And who was the first sister? Was it Demine?
It was something recent, man. It was one of these magazines that recently, this year, was the first year they had a black photographer take photos for their cover. And we're still having all of these firsts, but it cuts to the core of what you're talking about, right? The only reason I'm bringing in other professions is because that phenomenon of black people having, this is why we literally have been teaching our kids the same thing our parents have been teaching us, the same thing that their parents have been teaching them for generations, is that we have to be twice as good at what we do to get half as much as what white people, particularly white men in this system, get. And that's the inherent structure of this country. So going all the way back full circle, that's why if we say something like Black Lives Matter, it's seen as a threat because they view this whole system as a zero-sum game. The more power that black people get, the more equality that marginalized communities get, whatever your marginalized community is, the more we rectify this system, right? The more they see it as a threat to their power because they've been able to skate by on their mediocre talent, going all the way back. I mean, everything that y'all saying connects. Going all the way back to what you said at the beginning, Mundell, at the very beginning of this episode, is that you got this mediocre ass white man in Donald Trump who has ascended to the highest office of the land. And as a result of his pure, unadulterated ignorance, we now have an average of 300,000 people who have died in 2020, more than what we have on average. So we are suffering through the mediocrity of this white rich man who is representative of all of this system and all of the problems of this system. Here he comes boiling to the head like a cancerous plague on top of Americans' white supremacy, showing that mediocrity goes a long way. Whereas black folks, we've had to perform 3 or 4 times better than anybody else just to get a fraction of what they had.
That's right. I want to go and look at. First off, we got a super chat.
We got a couple.
Yeah,
I got quite a few. If you want me to read
Tua is Samoan, and there's a considerable population here in Australia. They consider themselves brothers and show hella love. Thank you, Daniel. We appreciate that. And all the way live from Australia. How awesome is that? Yeah. We're worldwide, baby. And another thing I want to get from and by the way, somebody asked us to talk about reparations and have a reparations show. I think that should happen in the future. From IFE, Ify Daily on Facebook. If we don't start following some of Dr. Claude Anderson's theories on socioeconomic tiers on voting, we will be having this conversation again. And I kind of tend to agree.
I feel that. Torches and Pitchforks sent in another $5 saying Mundell and the lit left, talking about your camera, your lighting on the left. He said, my folks, my people. I love it. Tanika 22 on Facebook, on YouTube rather, said, I tell people who don't vote, it must be important because black vote is the black vote is blocked like black home ownership. Damn, that kind of cut to the core right there. We got the Pick Sports Show said, how long will Trump have power in the Republican Party? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
Trump. As soon as he loses an election, Trump doesn't have power. Listen, politics are so short-minded. As soon as you lose an election, you become irrelevant to the power structure because they already don't. Like before the election, they showed you how they felt about Trump. Even those who bowed down to him, Cruz, Lindsey Graham, every Republican was saying what they were saying about Trump before he got elected. And as soon as he gets unelected, you're going to see that same language return. They don't like Trump. They're going to blame him for destroying the party because that's where it's going to be, in ruins. This massive black hole he's going to leave in the Republican Party is going to make them wish that they hadn't followed down this 4 years of ridiculousness, because they're going to be out of power for so long. Because what people will remember of the Republican Party, especially if you think about the voters that are coming of age, what they remember of the Republican Party is COVID and Trump. COVID and Trump.
You're banking on a strong Democratic Party there, Mondale.
I'm banking on like this new generation coming of era of voting, coming into themselves.
I get you. You know, I guess it's my job to be the pessimist on some of these things. And my brother, I love your optimism. I do, because if you don't, first I realize Mondale needs to have optimism because Mondale is fighting a little bit more than other people in this game, trying to make sure that we are all free. So shout out to that, right? But I also think that maybe the Republican Party takes some bumps, but the Democratic Party doesn't fight to kill. We don't do what the Republicans do. Republicans play to win forever. Democrats try to play to win, play to agree tomorrow, right? And get half-ass policies passed. In order for the Republican Party to be punished, that means that Democrats have to start taking some hardcore tactics once we have power to ensure that their base feels like they're getting supported, to feel sure that their constituencies actually get some things done and trust the party, and we never have turnout issues again. Also, the next super lame, moderate Democrat that gets ran for whatever that they place in there to make sure that Wall Street has their say, that's not going to necessarily keep increasing turnout. But I hope you're right, Mondale. I do.
So Donald Trump. What we know is, so Donald Trump was president for a unique period of time. He was president when millennials became like the largest voting bloc, right? And also when they became old enough to where they started voting steadily. People get to an age. This is how voting works. Young voters don't vote regularly. They get to an age where they become like super voters and they vote all the time, right? Then they get to an old age where they start voting less. That's where baby boomers are. They're voting less and they're also dying off, right? So millennials are at the age where they vote more. What I'm saying is, when we say the Democratic parties will be in power for time to come, it's because I'm thinking about the census from this year and also the taking of control of state houses and state legislatures, which are the people who draw districts, which means the House districts that we see now, gerrymandered for Republicans because of the 2010 census, will no longer be the case. And these districts will look different because democratically controlled folk will definitely draw these districts to benefit them and make being elected in these House districts and also in these state House districts look a little more favorable to them.
Yeah,
especially since the Supreme Court fucked up and ruled in favor of Republicans who drew these fucked up districts. So now it's going to backfire on them, and the courts can't stop it because they already made note on how legal it is.
Right. I want to just respond with my pessimism again. First off, what you're saying is awesome, by the way. But If I think about the state houses across the country, think about what's going on in Arizona. If I think about what's going on with some of these state houses that might flip, right? And by the way, America, Arizona and their red states are all across the nation right now, that their state houses, probably more important than the congressional senates, the state houses are starting to flip all over the nation. And there's a possibility that can happen this time around. The problem is that the current elected Democrats, who are literally so used to bipartisanship, won't go out of their way and actually try to create a map. And I've been a part of a map redistricting process in 2 different states, right? Florida, I've helped out with that, and Arizona helped out with that. 2 different processes, and helped turn in proposals. And I've had Democrats are the ones who are like, we can't do that. Let's not ever forget that some of these Democrats like these absurd drawn lines.
Gerrymandered, yeah,
because they get to stay in power. Right. So if I can have 100% of all the black people vote for me, and then leave a district with 1 black person over there and another district so the Republican win, and that's 2 Republican seats compared to my 1 seat, then that's another thing. And also, we talk about the census. Republicans play to destroy us. They have been messing with the census this year like left and right. When we get power, are we going to put resources, money, and the fundamental blockage of Republican tactics to make sure that current censuses in the future are fairly taken? And my question, so I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not trying to be gloom and doom either. What I am saying is that we have to be a little bit more hardcore, and hopefully as the new generation of super voters comes in, we'll start holding the folks that are accountable for doing the right thing for us.
Let me say
hold
this
on
real
a second.
quick.
Let me just jump in real quick. I just need to clarify what Marcus said. Marcus, Democrats draw districts that favor them every time they have control when the census happen. And in Florida, the thing about it is, if you're talking about the 2010 census, Democrats didn't have control of both houses because Republicans were like 89 to 30 something in the seats after the 2010 election. So that was if at best it was a split government, right? So I'm talking about when, in this case, where Democrats are flipping houses and flipping states and they control the legislatures. Both parties are guilty of partisan gerrymandering. We can't that is something that we can't deny, and it always happens to benefit. They make districts. This is why these years are so important. The presidential election, yeah, but we're talking about the census year where you get to draw the districts. So that means it's going to give you probably a 10-year advantage, like the Republicans had in 2010, where they went too far with the Tea Party shit, and then people realized that the Tea Party was just the prelim for what we got right now, nothing burger. So I'm just talking about. Some of this is based on optimism, and Marcus is right. The work that I do requires it, especially when I have people that work for us are getting guns pulled on them on a regular basis for just doing this work. So it does require a certain amount of mental happiness to keep going. But there's also a lot of data and historical basis that I'm talking about that supports the idea that the districts will look different this year and for the next 10 years.
I think one thing that I want to throw in the mix is the fact that, speaking on what Marcus, what you're talking about, in terms of the Democratic Party that has on the national level and on the local level, but on the national level, that has a track record of sacrificing our progress on behalf of trying to be bipartisan with Republicans who are out to destroy us. There's no doubt about that. Republicans play for keeps. They are most certainly willing to scorch the earth in order to get 1 extra seat. Right? They're willing to burn this whole thing down just to get 1 extra seat in Congress. And Democrats have not traditionally played like that, especially this generation that's outgoing. But that's the key part. There's a generation that's going out, that's fading out, and their entire influence in the Democratic Party. I don't think that they're going to have a legacy. I don't think people like Nancy Pelosi, Jim Clyburn, and Chuck Schumer, I don't think that their proteges that are being trained to come in and take power, I just don't think they got it. I don't think they have enough pull to maintain this same style of Democratic leadership council style politics, not when they're up against people like Ilhan Omar, AOC, Jamal Bowman, Charles Booker, all these dynamic, Mondaire Jones, all these dynamic people who are coming up with more grit, right? They're coming in this game with a chip on their shoulder, and they coming in swinging, as opposed to the people who have been groomed by that previous generation. So when we talk about this shift, it's like Chuck Schumer's protege. Like who are they even? Like who is Nancy Pelosi's heir apparent? Who's gonna come in and replace on the federal level that type of third wave Democrats BS
Hakeem
neoliberalism?
Jeffries.
Yeah, but like we know Hakeem Jeffries, right? But Hakeem don't want to. I mean, Hakeem has power, right? But he doesn't have the numbers. He doesn't have the electorate. Like, I mean, AOC had 450,000 people watching her play some game called Among Us. And I'm sorry,
but guess what though?
She got the fundraising power too. Go ahead.
But guess what? Once he's deemed the one by Nancy Pelosi, which is the establishment, he'll have fundraising numbers too. And to know, you need to know that it's there because he challenged a long-term sister who was doing right by Black folk and defeated her.
Yeah,
for a position of power within the Democratic Party.
But in holistically looking, let me ask Mundell just a follow-up. Looking at holistically, the type of power that AOC has versus the type of power, institutional power that Hakeem Jeffries certainly has. Who you think gonna win, man? Like, I know institutional power is a lot, but AOC got the email list, she got the fundraising capacity, she doesn't have to answer to these folks, she has ability to move in her district. Right, but AOC is not burning. AOC is a whole different phenomenon in and of herself. Like, I'm not saying that we should look at her as the savior, right? But I'm saying that we should look at her as a trend. And we're seeing more people. The Corey Bushes came out and knocked out a whole dynasty on her second go.
You trying to get me canceled today? I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole because I can get in trouble real quick.
Well, then don't do it. Don't do it.
I ain't trying to get canceled. I got so much.
Don't do it. But I'll do it for you. First, we got a whole bunch of comfortable people in leadership in DC, right? Yep. I like Nancy Pelosi is worth how many million, right? I much rather trust AOC with her bartending self than Nancy Pelosi, who hadn't had to do. I mean, if you have $140 million in your bank account, then can you really
represent the people?
The ills of America right now, right? Chuck Schumer been in power for so long that like moderation is an almost automatic thing. And they look at these bases. They look at what their base is not what America is right now. I mean, so like, jerry rigging the primary is nothing to them, right? Use your power to do exactly what you want to do, right? Some of these CBC members, some of them, not all of them, but some of these CBC members, it's the same thing. When they go, they have gotten comfortable, right? Like, it's not the same thing when you were marching in the 60s and you had your afro in the 70s and you lived in your little one-bedroom apartment before you decided to run for office. Then you ran for office and you got elected for the people as a city council person. Then you move your way up to in the 80s and 90s to the Congress, and now you're like a 20-year member of Congress, right? Yeah. You forgot your afro days, bro. They forgot, like, they've gotten so caught up in it. And I mean, that's why I'm starting to think we need term limits up there, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. Let me read a couple more super chats before we get too far along. Renee Moncao said, of course, Black Lives Matter is a political statement. It's human rights. Never apologize. It's on the fascists. I agree. Let me see the next one from where we read that one. Here's one from Choicer Fantastic, said, there are a bunch of local organizations helping people in communities. Do y'all know of regional structures pushing organizations towards a larger movement? Who wants to tackle that?
What was the question?
The question again is, the statement first is, there are a bunch of local organizations helping people in communities. Here's the question. Do y'all know of regional structures pushing organizations towards a larger movement?
What movement? I mean,
yeah, give us some clarity on that question, Greg. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Fantastic. Daniel Oasis says, finally, I have a political podcast with some brothers who look like and talk like me. Much love, fellas. Move my black behind to Australia and voting a bribe. That's from Daniel Osias. That's love, man. Gina Jones, and this is one more. Gina Jones says, even though I'm white, I've learned more about all the different races and cultures that make up this country. Plus, I just started watching this morning show a couple of weeks ago and learning even more. Go for it, Mundell.
I appreciate her willingness to learn. It saddens me that you are as old as you are, Gina, meaning an adult, and you're just learning about cultures, like this culture, and you're learning more. I do applaud you for being open for it. Here's what I was saying, but that's not like a total critique of her. It's a critique of what we were talking about earlier about America's education system. You could be considered smart or white genius and know nothing about my history. You could be
Right.
considered a white genius or American historian and know nothing about Nat Turner. You could be considered a white um, savant and know nothing about any of the black musicians that basically made music, right? You don't know. You don't need to know who Charlie Pride is to be considered a country music legend. You don't need to know who Nina Turner is, or what her real name was, or that she was from Tryon, North Carolina, or that she was at 5 years old playing and substituting for her mother, who was a preacher, not her father. She's
Nina
a child
Simone.
of a preacher. Nina Simone, who was a child savant, who was playing the organ at 5 when the organ person in her church couldn't make it, taught herself, right? You don't need to know all that. You don't need to know. You also don't need to know. So I'm just saying, like, you could be American and white and an adult and not know anything about black culture. But if you are black and an adult in America and don't know anything about white culture, you are considered dumb.
Can I jump in, Mondale, real quick? I'm gonna use an example. I helped get the first black mayor of Jacksonville elected before I worked for Bernie. I've ran campaigns all over the state of Florida and Georgia and a couple in South Carolina, right? I've done work in different places in the South. I went to Florida A&M University, right? And there was a period of time where a consultant on Bernie Sanders' campaign came up to me and was like, "You don't know what you're doing in Jacksonville." I went to Harvard. I went to Harvard University, and he did. I mean, whatever. He said, "So you might want to listen to me when it comes down to black turnout in Jacksonville, Florida."
Was this a black guy or a white guy saying this?
White guy. It's white guy. Because I know the numbers. So his education and his skin color gave him more validation to some certain people in that campaign. And that's why one of the reasons why, they thought, they could do certain things without having black people involved. So Mondale is absolutely right. And this is more than just one campaign. This is America.
It's endemic, yeah.
This is that problem is probably the most problematic systemic issue is why certain folks have to be the smartest people in the room just because of their skin color and their level of education. Your auntie down the street knows more about her street turnout than anybody in DC.
Right, and the fact that they are rewarded for their mediocrity, they're rewarded and they're promoted even when they lose. Like my very brief time in that consulting space really just showed me how much they don't have to be genuinely concerned if they win races for Democrats, because they still are getting paid, they still are getting promoted, and then the next campaign cycle they could get paid even more, even though they lost that last election. And so if people are wondering like why Democrats do the same playbook and keep losing over and over again, is because there's a vested interest in this white mediocre men, right? This whole class of men who run these consulting firms and get paid millions of dollars, win, lose, or draw, they still get paid and they get promoted. And then they come in with a level of arrogance, even though, my dude, you lost your last election. Why are you talking cash money shit about your capabilities? You lost your last couple of elections and you come in asserting your ideas over and above black folks who have the experience in these black races and these black communities. I got that. I picked that up after my couple of, months. So I know you've been in this space for years, Marcus. Let me just drop this one chat. This was you, super chat from Raylyn Bunch, Mundell. She says, shout out to Mundell for the knowledge gained from the 2 to 5, sending love from little old birdie as a Tar Heel. The love stops with the 2-5.
Who said that?
That is Raylyn Bunch on YouTube.
What shout out Bunch. I shout out for the 252 as well. And I know what you're talking about, them Tar Heels. And I was just harassing Marcus about the Duke team. I like both Duke and Tar Heels. And I know that's sacrilegious.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? I heard you can't do that.
I also like A&T and Livingstone College.
But that's different. It's black colleges. We black. We can do that. Mm. I like BCU. I like BCU in-house.
Hell walk.
Ask Ben if he like FAMU.
Huh?
FAMU trash.
He appreciates FAMU.
FAMU
oh, really?
garbage.
You doing it like that? Okay, Joe, lame ass man. All right, first,
Bro, wait a minute.
Y'all just
Wait a
got
minute.
good a couple years ago.
Bro,
Y'all
we've
set us up.
been molly-whopping y'all for decades, man. What you
Decades?
talking about?
Decades. You literally learned how to spell shit from FAMU, from watching FAMU. BCU learned how to spell words by watching FAMU. Get the fuck out of here.
Bro, FAMU's
bro?
FAMU's band is so garbage.
Did y'all get invited to Europe?
Hang on.
Did y'all get invited to anything?
When y'all went there, y'all went there with people without mouthpieces, just marching there like they're playing.
We turned up.
People without uniforms.
Guess what question?
Guess what y'all were doing?
Hold on, Marcus. I don't normally cap for Marcus because his mouth big enough to cap for himself. Can I ask you a question, Ben?
What's up, man? What's up?
Where's your wife go to school?
Where did her husband go to school? Where did her husband go to school? Where did she have to go to find a man? A real good black man. She had to go to Bethune-Cookman University. All right. So shout out to all the men
Marcus, you like that? Marcus, you like that?
Thank you very much, Mondale. There's a very couple of times that my brother came for me, but I appreciate that one. That was homegrown. And also, Benjamin lost a mute. Now I'm gonna go to the white people about how much I hate BCU.
Oh wow! Wow.
Boy, you sell it out.
Before my argument initially was, we can hate each other in house, but when we talking about outside of the house, bad about any HBCU.
Yeah, we don't. Outside of the community, we don't. We don't. But we in-house. This is in-house.
Oh, this is in-house?
Oh, yeah.
White people watching.
But that's on them. They know better than to say anything about it. That's why we can say nigga on this show and they know not to repeat it. This is in-house. These are the people who got invited to the cookout, but they still know they can't say some of the same stuff that we say about our schools and about our African-American vernacular.
Don't come to the barbershop and say the N-word because your edge going to be messed
up. Boy, no, your teeth gonna be messed up. You gonna walk out of here looking like that black
boy. Cause and effect. They knocked out my teeth. So listen.
We haven't played it yet. We gotta play it.
I gotta go find it. Hey, let me go try to find it. Go ahead,
Mondale. I mean, we haven't talked about. I mean, we've been kind of jovial with our politics today, which is wonderful because it's necessary because of just the amount of trauma we deal with on a regular basis. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that America's COVID has 3 days in a row broke records. We are in a dangerous space, y'all, and it is directly linked to the presidency of Donald J. Trump.
Thanks.
Yeah. And as much as I've been giving I've been giving Ice Cube hell for the past couple of days, I do want to give him a shout out for a problem that he created, but he also handled it extremely well the other day when one of the Trump boys, Eric, the one with the Roman eyes, who can't make eye contact, when he tried to did a Photoshop of Ice Cube and 50 Cent with Trump hats on. They were celebrating 50's birthday, and she flopped their hats and put Trump 2020 hats. And Ice Cube responded with "nigga, please." Perfect response. Unfortunately, you set yourself up for that, Ice Cube.
Yep. Those are facts. Real quick, Nick Eden said, love it. Welcome to the SWAC, by the way. So shout out, because FAMU and Bethune-Cookman have both moved over to the SWAC. And
don't matter. CIAA is still the best.
What kind of drugs you on this morning, boy?
Telling the truth.
No,
HBCU basketball. HBCU basketball.
Matter of fact, okay, America. Let's name the team. I want you to name some of the teams in that league of yours, and then I'm going to name the teams in the SWAC.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You're asking me to name. You're asking me to name teams. Hold on. Listen. You're asking me to name teams for America approval. America's a majority white space. Let's do this in a black context until the black people. Everybody know the CIAA is the most profitable tournament out of all of them.
I don't care about profit. He's talking about a better league. Talking about better sports.
I'm talking. We got better basketball players.
Matter of fact, better funded black colleges. Let's go.
Bro, Livingstone is in the black,
name the school,
and it's a private college, never took white money.
Bro, like, stop beating
I'm not doing it. I'm not playing this game with you.
Okay, so let's go for it. You ready for it?
Go for it. You go one, I go one.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Jackson State.
Alcorn.
FAMU.
Prairie View A&M.
BCU.
Hell Wildcats. We can stop there. End the conversation.
We didn't say Southern. Did we forget Southern?
Oh my goodness. Grambling.
Did we forget Jackson State?
No, we said Jackson State. Who the coach? They just picked up a coach. What's the coach, the new football coach over at Jackson State?
Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders. Come on, man. Like I ain't trying to cape for the SWAC because I hated them all my adult life. Just out of sibling rivalry, right? But they have for a long time had a very dynamic division. So I mean, shout out to the SWAC.
And
Glad
by
to be
the way,
there.
to the viewers of this show, I know you guys aren't used to black talking about HBCUs in depth, but it's a whole world.
My God.
It's a whole culture. Like we not only have football that we care about, but our halftimes are a bigger battle than the games themselves. Right?
Hey, bro, one of my proudest moments, man, was the Circle City Classic in Indianapolis. Every year, it's been going on for decades, and I was a part of the halftime show, and with Bethune-Cookman College, obviously, and they caught a picture of me hitting a 90, marching like that, knee up like that,
nice.
Bro. And they put that thing on the cover of the Circle City Classic back in 1998. Now I haven't been able to find it ever since then. But when I tell you the halftime shows, ain't nobody moving their seats. Matter of fact, a lot of people will miss the first half of the football game and come at halftime and stay for the rest of the game because they come to see our marching bands do our thing.
Yeah. So at most games, they actually open the gates, right? But they'll open the gates like at halftime. At black schools, they open the gates after halftime.
That's love. That's love. We got two more big super chats. Gina Jones said, until they found TYT a year ago, I thought that not many people thought like I did. Plus, I enjoy reading books of all kinds, so that's how I'm learning so much, including all the independent media that I watch and read. We're talking about political education and the propaganda that we are taught in high school. I think that's the context. Chuck Diesel on YouTube said, I appreciate you brothers for spreading positivity, energy, and a wealth of information to the masses, showing some love from the almighty Dragon Squad. The Dragon Squad is connected to the damage report that John Iadarola gave us a shout out on yesterday. You guys were asking me about the damage report. They got the whole Dragon Squad, and they have been rating our channel on YouTube, sending love. Black, and I got to read this last one, even though it wasn't a super chat. I absolutely have to read it. From Black Sky Blue Days says, marching 100, thumbs down. I agree.
Hey, listen, I'm not, listen, you just get the microphone and do your little host thing, buddy. First off, and also, Tamara, I see you. I'm going to acknowledge you on the Facebook. Our dear sister Tamara is saying, oh, this must be for people who actually go to watch the games. What is the name of that division again? She talking about the CIAA versus the SWAC. Right. I mean, we don't have to really do it. And I'm very careful about her because her snaps are fucking like epic. So whatever you say about her.
And her man is half crazy.
No,
I let you slide calling her Tamara. And even though she's Tamara. It's Tamara. It's a Russian name.
I'm sorry. I keep messing it up. I'm sorry.
Hey, but Mondale, I honestly.
She's a Russian bot, Marcus.
All this time
she has a Russian name because you're a Russian bot.
Hey, on, Mondale. You talk about you crazy. I just gotta say, like, I honestly didn't realize that you actually are kind of like you ain't dealing with a full deck over there, man. Like you really are. You're not playing a role. You really are crazy. I thought.
Marcus, what I said?
He said
she's a Russian bot, bro. She's a Russian bot. That's why she's got a Russian name. Tamara is the clickbaity Russian bot. If you come for us, we will troll farm you with Tamara's name.
Who's our partner in that Facebook chat? Tamara be like out there. There's somebody who be when they tag team. Ivy. They be tag teaming people on Facebook, and I be feeling sorry for them, man. I'm like, y'all really did not realize what y'all stepped into, because these sisters out here, they ain't playing the fam on this thing.
Ivy's a special woman.
Oh, we got another super chat. Y'all out here killing us with these super chat. Oh, Tamara. Is that the same Tamara Allen? Is that the same Tamara?
On both sides. She going back and forth to YouTube.
She in Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, she is. Yes,
she said it's the CIA. I don't even know any schools in the CIAA. I'm sure I would if Mondale would name some.
Hold on, I do have to do something because we've been having a lot of fun.
It's called CIAA. Don't ever say CIAA.
See, that's exactly how much we don't know about CIAA. They haven't made a mark on
Read the super chat from Tamara Ben. Read the super chat from Tamara Ben.
She said it's the CIAA for me.
This whatever league to the SWAC. It's not even realistic. Anyway, listen. What is it? African Pearl says, please speak on McConnell holding the stimulus bill, please. I think this is very important for us.
Wow, that's real.
Yeah,
that's real.
And first, we know, if you know, I want to backtrack a little bit. Any bill that's passed has earmarks in it for our novice folks, right? Earmarks, and these earmarks might have $100 million for some program, $100 million for a certain industry that's going to get a business. And to be honest with you, the Democrats and the Republicans aren't fighting over whether we get money or not. The Democrats and the Republicans are fighting over which earmarks get passed. It's that simple, right? So special interests are keeping money away from America. If you notice something, American people, the last stimulus bill that was passed, the American people did receive a small amount of money, but you know who received a whole hell of a lot more?
For that.
Right? And I want everybody to understand this. It's not that these people don't want us to get money, because all of them have constituents. A lot of them are evil, but there's enough constituents that are actually reaching out to them saying, hey, would you please pass a stimulus bill, because my money is messed up. I've been giving you money, Mitch McConnell. I've been giving you money, Chuck Schumer. I've been giving you money, Nancy Pelosi, and my business is messed up. It's time for you to do something for me. Oh, and I can hardly see, they care about the business owners. They don't care about you paying rent. So let's get this right. But all of them have had constituents that have came to them. The problem is, now we're arguing about who gets that $100 million in the earmark. And that's the problem. I want everybody to understand the real problem and why we're not getting a stimulus, in my opinion. It's not the fact that they're not willing to settle and do something. It's whether the Republican-backed interests get all the money or the Democratic-backed interests get all the money. Right? So there's no pure bill, right? And we need to take a deep look at these earmarks. And I haven't yet, because I haven't read the whole bill yet, the current one. I think it's public. And if somebody could post in one of the super chats, or somebody could post the link, it'll help us out about what the bill actually says, or what the proposed bill actually says. But I want to be very clear about why we're not getting stimulus help right now. It has absolutely nothing to do with them not wanting to give us money. It has everything to do with how much money one side of the aisle special interests get.
That's the shame. I was reading on, there's a unemployed subreddit, and I was reading that a subreddit because, you know, it's one of the most important things that we could do as organizers, even in the media space, is to connect with unemployed communities, homeless populations in any capacity that we can. And there's an unemployment subreddit that actually I discovered so many people actually go to and talk about it. There was a brother on there yesterday who was talking about how he has been living out of his car, he and his family, for the last 2 weeks, and they are at the end. They're at the end. This is the reality of what people are going through right now. And we got politicians in Washington, D.C. trying to play politics as usual. One of the reasons I don't run for office and do politics right now, like on that level, is because that type of stuff, seeing the reality of people's conditions, that kind of thing pushes me to the edge. The more important than it pushing me to the edge is that you got millions of Americans living on edge, right? And they are in desperate need of a bailout right now. And it says something to me about the sociopathy, the sheer callousness, the whole entire lack of empathy that they would be holding up a bailout for the American people when so many more Americans today are in a situation that they weren't in at the beginning of this pandemic. Last thing I say about it is that they really think that they're superhuman. I think they feel like they're invulnerable. One of two things: they either feel like Americans can tolerate anything, or they feel like they're invulnerable. Because I would be terrified. I would be absolutely terrified of being the person who's ensuring that they don't get bailed out, that millions of Americans don't get bailed out. Just like I'd be terrified if I was a politician that insisted on people going back to work and acting like everything is normal, that's ultimately going to lead to more people dying. Just because of me. I ain't going to say, about anybody else. But if I was an elected official, I would be terrified of being the person that got a whole bunch of people killed, because my expectation would be an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. I would fully expect Americans to turn and look at me as a leader, being the person who didn't help them get bailed out, who made sure that they didn't get their money, that could have helped them get out of homelessness, that helped them save their apartment, helped them stay in their rent. And instead, my decisions actually led to them being homeless. I would think twice about doing that, but that's why I'm not a politician, because I'm not a sociopath enough to be able to turn a blind eye to the hurting people of this country.
Man, these people have never been accountable. They've never, ever had to experience accountability in their life. That's why they don't get in trouble when they do get in trouble, because the people that are actually supposed to enact accountability are like, well, hell, I would have did the same thing. So you're good. And this is Republican or Democratic. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump has probably committed some of the most largest, and I'm getting away from the topic. I'm gonna go back to it. But Donald Trump has committed some of the largest atrocities in American history. Do you really?
Oh man.
Do you really think the current Democratic Party structure is going to hold him accountable?
Not at all.
Absolutely.
You think they will?
Absolutely.
In what way?
Go ahead.
I'm just curious. What way do you think the Democrats will hold him accountable? Because I'm with Marcus on this one. By voting them out?
Nah, I mean that's one way. That's Democrat.
I'm talking about after the election.
That's Democrat little d. I'm talking about what's going to happen to his organization. The same thing that New York did to the NRA is going to happen to Donald Trump.
I believe it when I see it, man.
He's not in
That's
jail.
why he ran. Listen, that's why he ran. That's why he ran to Florida, because he's trying to get away from the New York district attorney who's coming for his head.
Hey man, I love it. I want it. I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it, though, because we have a tradition in this country of not holding politicians accountable, and this is what they get off on. They really don't think the American people will hold them accountable. But when you got 300,000, we're looking at scratch that. Let me talk about this other thing. You talk about the atrocities. There are 545 children who have been separated from their parents. And the U.S. government, Donald Trump's administration, is now saying that they cannot find these kids' parents. So we have 545 families who have been separated and have no way of getting, if the U.S. government can't find them and connect them, how the hell are these kids ever going to be reunited? And this was a decision. This was a policy decision, right? This was above and beyond anything the Obama administration did, because we had that report that came out about Jeff Sessions and the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, who intentionally made decisions to separate family members as they got in power in 2017. And as a result, they still have 545 children in their custody who cannot be reunited with their parents. So the atrocities is at a whole nother level that I think a lot of us haven't calculated is exactly what it is that America has been guilty of course, historically, but I'm talking about just since 2017.
Hysterectomies in Georgia.
Forced hysterectomies.
Forced hysterectomies in Georgia. To brown women, to brown people that we literally stopped. Now, understand something. They came here to work. They came here to be thriving people, right? They came here and now they have forced hysterectomies. If that ain't fascist, we can't find. We have separated families to the point where over 500 people can't find 500 kids can't find their parents. Like, whose is that? And it's amazing that Republicans always talk about responsible small government. They are the ones who created a big government problem.
Right.
They're creating a huge government because you got to fix it. I know y'all just want to kill them, but you can't kill them. Like, you got to do something with these kids.
But you know what they're going to do, man? You know what they're going to do? They're going to turn these, and what they have been doing is they've been turning these children over to Christian adoption agencies so that Christian families can adopt them, right? And man, that is literally a definition, one of the definitions of genocide. What America has been actively doing at the border is a form of genocide, both the hysterectomies, the forced hysterectomies, and the separation of families. And now America, we got brand new, fresh blood on our hands, bro. We commit atrocities on a regular basis, but we have upped the ante in 2017. So to that extent, I hope, Mundell, I hope you are right, man. I hope that every person in this administration can be immediately held accountable, because we're on a whole new playing level right now.
Listen to what I'm saying. Okay, so I don't want to oversell what I'm saying. I definitely don't believe every person in this administration will be held accountable. I definitely believe that they won't walk away from this. They won't walk away from this presidency unscathed. They being the Trump. What's his emotionless face son name? Kushner, Jared Kushner. Those folk will not walk away unscathed. And what they didn't realize was American government is not New York real estate market. And what you do in New York real estate will let you may be able to hide certain things and get away with it. They don't know though when you play politics, it's a different type of digging. It's a different type of finding out. And people know what they never knew about Donald Trump. First of all, you broke. First of all, you bad credit. And all of those people that you didn't pay will be linked to all of these lawyers who you didn't pay. Trust me. You in trouble, my friend. You are in trouble.
You broke. The kid ain't yours.
Real quick. Elena, you're absolutely right, sister. Donald Trump will never, ever face the same consequences as Kwame Kilpatrick.
Oh.
And to believe that he would is to say that this ain't America. So I mean, like, if anybody's looking for that ain't America.
Kwame Kilpatrick should be walking around free right now if he wasn't the governor, if he wasn't the mayor of Detroit. Kwame Kilpatrick should probably be walking around free. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has blood on his hands, has a responsible for murder and death and bad policy. And the Trump administration is going to be at a golf course no matter what in January. That's my opinion.
Kwame made the mistake of I don't know. That's a tragic story. I feel sorry for the brother to a certain extent, but like wasn't he using federal?
That's why you don't mind. No, you don't. That's why. See, he with the FAMU, so now you like, oh, fuck that nigga.
No. I'm just like, hey, bro, wasn't he using state dollars or city funds to fund parties with strippers? Did I have that right?
He got arrested for lying under oath because he had an affair.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. But then everything else started coming out. And I ain't trying to slam the brother at all. I just think he made the mistake of not remembering that he was black in this country, and you can't get away with shit.
Oh no, hold on, pause. I think he did remember he was black. I just think he thought he was smooth and black, right? But if you look at the mayor Mayor Ray down in New Orleans, if you look at when black politicians make a mistake, we're going to jail. We're going to jail. There's no question about it. When white
are you talking about that congressman who had $90,000 in his freezer?
In the freezer, right? In the freezer. But when white politicians make a mistake, or do anything that's suspect, Anthony Weiner, they get out, or have smaller sentences. I mean,
how your family last name Weiner, man, and then you get caught up on
showing your wiener
for dick pics. That's some stuff. Hey fellas, we have organically and naturally extended this thing to 2 whole hours, man. We coming up at 10 o'clock, and I got an interview to do at 10 o'clock, so we're gonna have to call it here pretty quickly.
We need everybody break real quick, brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say everybody give a shout out where to get found, where we can find you at, and what the people need to know. Where you get found. That's it.
Okay, I always want to say this. Smash that like button.
There you go. Hit that like button, folks.
Hey, listen, first, before I even say where you find me, like us on Patreon. Please follow us on Patreon, become a Patreon subscriber. We are on Instagram. I did our first post on Instagram yesterday. So I'm gonna give the fellas some time to do some stuff. Next time I'm gonna try to figure out how we get this live on Instagram. You can find me, I'm Marcus for America on Twitter, Instagram. I'm Old Man Politic on Twitch, and you can just find me at Marcus Farrell on Facebook.
Nice. Mundell
Robinson, Facebook, and also Twitter. And I am Mundell on Instagram. Black Man Voter Project everywhere.
And you can find me on Twitter at Benjamin P. Dixon, and basically everywhere at Benjamin P. Dixon. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us this long. Let me just double check. I don't want to miss out on any super chats before we get out of here. Let me just circle back and make sure that I didn't miss any. The last one we got was asking us to play. This is from Pitches and
yeah, we didn't play it yet. We got to play it.
It's on Facebook. I got to find a download link to get it. Are you talking about the old one? Because there's one of my homeboy put a beat to. He sent it to me in Messenger on Facebook.
We got to play it. Mondale, don't you got it? Don't give Mondale nothing.
Don't give him control. Now we got to play it tomorrow, fellas, because I got to jump on this. I got to jump on a call.
I got to get prepared for a call too, y'all. Yeah. I love it. Thank y'all.
Hey,
see y'all tomorrow.
We appreciate y'all. See everybody tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you next time.